we go.
I met him online.
Let's give him a chance. Let's give him a chance to win and to save lives.
It was the last thing Mackenzie ever thought would happen. To face.
During those horrific final moments, Judy Seifert heard something that gave her comfort.
I would be lying to say it's not disappointing.
To rape on a first date.
When I wake up, he has me on my stomach. He is holding my arms down.
But this specialized training takes it up a notch, or 3.
There's going to be fear.
Left there at dawn, alone and violated by a guy she says didn't even bother to shut the doors. Mackenzie's chance for justice began slipping away. One man's life came to a sudden stop.
It took my friend a solid hour and a half, 2 hours to even convince me to go to the hospital.
We realized he wasn't coming home. And, you know, that was when it was probably the hardest. Yeah, right.
It is right out there, and it's raw, and it has been for the last few months since we got the news. He'd been positively identified.
The bracelets that are here on the table are bracelets that people all over the United States have been wearing for years, supporting us.
They wore that bracelet until they either came home alive or their remains returned. So in tradition, keeping with it, these folks have given their bracelets back to us. It's very difficult for them to take them off. Some of them have been wearing them for many, many years.
And they've sent personal notes with them. Some have sent pictures. Let me see what this one is.
It traveled with me throughout Europe.
This is her second one.
She wrapped it in the American flag. It was on his wrist during his wedding.
No,
we don't know these people.
We don't know these people at all. Isn't that neat? We've been on a roller coaster for 45 years. I want to honor him in the best way that we know how.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this repatriation ceremony, this celebration of life in honor of Colonel Francis McGoldrick.
When I think back on these times.
We have a service at the Air Force Memorial.
And with all the saints.
We will be the very first service they've ever done there.
Amen. We thank you for the return of Colonel McGoldrick, his remains back to his native soil and his family.
He was killed in a mid-air collision.
The brief 40 years that he spent on this earth, which ended 45 years ago today.
Oh, I have slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings.
One of my sons said to me, he's more alive now coming home in a casket than he was ever in their whole life, right? Because they've known the story, and now they're going to get to see what a hero's welcome is.
Bring him home, bring him home,
Feeling very honored to be in the hallowed ground of Arlington Cemetery. So many heroes are there, and our father finally will be there too. The anticipation of leading up to and the magnitude of the story and the effect it's had not only on our family, but our friends and our extended family and all the people that have come in contact with us. We're going to collect all of these, and we're going to put them inside the casket with our father's remains.
Mm-hmm. They need to go in a special place with a special person.
Our Father, who art in heaven.
There's plenty of people that have unfortunately passed away before they've received their answers. Our mother being one of them.
We're so fortunate to have gotten to bury her there, because there's so many people that now will not be buried there as wives. So to be able to put them together in the same grave, his casket will go on top of hers, that's just such a blessing to have them together again.
I think my key word is bittersweet. I'm excited to bring it to closure, but I'm so mixed with emotions over the grief and the fact that we've finally gotten to this point.
Absolutely.
We have the end to our story.
I would say we have absolutely gotten our answers. We got to bury our father with honors in Arlington Cemetery.
It's a vision that rises high above the city's skyscrapers, a plan for public art popping up to put Columbus on the revitalization map. ABC6 investigators started tracking it all, hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars spent on artwork. We dug into a special project headed up by the Columbus Art Commission. A panel sought out more than 100 artists worldwide to submit their designs for downtown.
One of man's great desires is to create something that will outlive him, and I do that every day.
Artist Alan Cottrell feels slighted. Around every corner, bronze sculptures surround you at his studio in Zanesville.
I'm God when I do this.
But he wasn't even invited to submit an art plan.
Not even to get a phone call, and not even to be considered for the casting. Yeah, I feel neglected.
Instead, meeting minutes and approved project records we obtained show it will cost taxpayers $280,000. What is it? 2 giant humanized bronze deer planned for the banks of the Scioto River in Genoa Park.
The amount of money spent on art is a very small piece in comparison to the entire amount that one spends on revitalizing an area.
Remember Flowing Kiss? It was the original design winner for North Bank Park, costing you $250,000. A consultant was hired for $20,000 to oversee the project. But the city tells us the Scioto Lounge proposal was so well received, the committee decided to clear the way for that project too, taking another $280,000 from city taxpayers.
The artist got a great deal, that's all I have to say. I'd like some projects like that.
The project contract and artist details are still being drawn up, like no horns, the kids might get impaled. Maybe the legs on this one should be crossed. Or no sex, parents might be damaged psychologically. We talked to the artist who says he will cast and create his deer in Walla Walla, Washington, hundreds of miles away, and it's all costing you.
Government waste is what it is. I mean, shame on them. They could easily have gotten a couple of art professors at Ohio State to oversee it.
In fact, Cottrell already has 2 works at OSU. Look familiar?
And we kind of think he's a winner. Woody Hayes.
How about this guy?
By America's Black Streak, Jesse Owens, the world's most superb runner, makes the others look as if they're walking.
Both sculptures just part of Cottrell's portfolio.
Nobody produces as much work as I do. As you can see, there's 500 bronze statues here. I have over 100 monumental scale statues around the country.
Project organizers didn't want to talk on camera, but say they're working on building a public art collection to draw visitors. But since an Ohio artist was not picked to put artwork in this park, Cottrell is up in arms.
They didn't need to spend that much money on something like this. They could have gotten 5 times the amount of art for half the price.
While the city did consider local, national, and international artists, some like Cottrell are taking aim on the process, the decision-making, and at the end of the day, how and where your money is being invested. Beyond the iron bars, below the state seal, and above the parking garage sits the Ohio State House, a place for the people, a place that's under watch.
You'll see a lot more of a presence from the Highway Patrol.
Securing this space means more of your money, not in the form of uniformed state troopers. 60 miles away in Zanesville, Ohio.
I like my job. I like working with wood, so I can't imagine doing anything else.
Woodworkers are cutting out a new form of security.
It's neat working on something that could protect someone's life in a tragedy situation.
You can see the shaping, sealing, and smoothing of these desks. but they hide a safety secret.
Nobody really knows it's bulletproof, you know, except us. That's kind of cool.
Behind these panels, an impassable shield, all 6 costing about $50,000. It's just part of a nearly $2 million plan to increase security at the State House, starting with the construction of a $378,000 wrought iron fence.
We have to abide by the National Historic Preservation Act, so we can't put anything modern in there.
It's considered security. Luke Stedke is with the Capitol Square Review and Advisory Board. He says these types of upgrades are well worth the cost.
I think we're spending exactly what the legislator wants us to spend.
While the legislature is spending money for security for a fence, they're now allowing guns inside that fence and below the State House in the parking garage. They're just not allowed in the building.
You have some of these decisions that leave you scratching your head.
Brian Rothenberg heads up think tank Progress Ohio. He's outraged that this law, this fence, and these 6 desks are the only things being put in place to protect us.
I don't know that the bulletproof desk makes that much of a difference, other than a few people can hide behind it.
It's a fine line that you have to walk because this is a public building.
The public can access the State House from 4 entrances. The rest are on lockdown. Troopers will be on guard behind these new bulletproof desks.
It's still an open door, it's just a more secure door.
When you walk up to the door, there's signs telling you no guns. Once inside, cameras capture every move. And after you pass the trooper station, where you go from there is up to you.
If you're really worried about security, it's not money that's going to keep that from happening. It's common sense, like we don't need guns in the parking garage and we don't need guns on the front lawn.
Leaving it up for debate whether or not you're safe and paying the proper price for protection.
Now, we can't go over the entire Ohio law when it comes to child care, but what we can do is draw you a few examples. A house with 7 or more kids is regulated. Daycares with 7 or more kids are also regulated. But home daycares with 6 or less kids are unregulated. That is, unless they get public funds for the child care, then it needs to be certified by the county.
We found 2 systems to identify one student. This is Beth. Her teachers here know her by her name. This is also Beth, but the Department of Education only knows her as number 628628.
To give you an idea of just how powerful a falling TV is, we got a bunch of recycled ones and a bunch of watermelons. So now you can see what happens when curiosity meets an unsecured TV.
If he was here, he would have to pay $20 a day for a wound vac. But on average, Medicaid shells out more than $200 a day for Kennison's treatment at this nursing home.
OEM stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer. On your insurance estimate, this shows up as OEM. The Ohio Department of Insurance says no policy promises to use OEM parts. Instead, they'll use aftermarket parts, which are new, but they're not made by the manufacturer of your car. Or they'll use used parts, meaning that they were bought from a salvage dealer. For instance, on your insurance estimate, used parts show up as things like L, K, Q, meaning like, kind, or quality. Or Q, RP, quality replacement parts.
But they gave us this supply list. Medicaid will cover gauze, bandages, and wound fillers in the home. Still, medical equipment like the wound vac is missing. Think of it like this. That price tag could pay for 1 year's tuition for 18 in-state students. Then there's this.
I mean, that's the price of a house.
In fact, this 2-story house in Hilliard lists for $190,000. Large kitchen, 2 bedrooms, loft upstairs, furnished lower level rec room. Don't miss this $190,000.